Hi everyone, welcome back to our How to Master Opening series. I'm Filippo. So last time we talked about what will happen if black approaches on the bottom side. We say that this is a traditional way of approaching the corner because it is backed by the bottom right corner of black stones. This week we'll talk about the, let's say, uncommon way to approach the corner, although it's not commonly seen in the AI times, which is approaching from the inner side. Traditionally, we think that this is an unfavorable way to approach the corner because it is naturally pincered by the two white star points. But actually now this is acceptable because we think that the direction on the left direction, the gap of the two star points is still very big. So of course, to respond to this approach, white has two options. One is to pincer and one is to defend. And to pincer, usually we use the one space lower pincer. To respond to this, once again, black will have three ways to respond to it. The first way is to take the corner, and the way to take the corner is very simple, is to play the through invasion. We know that because there's no stone on the bottom side, white will always block from the inner side. And it is almost certain that we will end up with this traditional classic joseki. We now see that, of course, black takes the corner comfortably, but white also has an influence facing its own star points. So I think that in this case, white is totally acceptable because now we can get the center and develop the top left corner further. If we choose the modern joseki of something like this, the result is roughly the same. So in both cases, I think if you take the corner, you will get the corner territory, but white will get the influence facing upward. So if black is not very happy about this result, black will turn to other ways. For example, a double knight approach. To have this double knight approach, it's similar to the taking the corner, but now black also wants some influence on the bottom side. Black no longer just wants the corner. Remember, if we choose the corner joseki, the head of the jumping head outside is very, very soft. But in this case, this head is much stronger. So if black chooses this joseki, black can successfully turn to the bottom side. Of course, by the way, so this is the old joseki, but AI thinks that this joseki is no longer good because it is too weak and the shape is subject to very severe kind of attack later on. For example, here. So after this, black still needs to get down, otherwise it's not locally alive. So this is an outdated kind of joseki. So after black invades the 3-3, so of course white is not quite happy about blocking from this side because we can see that after this joseki, this wall is not supported. I mean, the direction of development is not very good for white. So in this case, white will not choose this too. So white is definitely going to become something like this. So if white is not happy about this, white will attach from the other side. And we have a very classic joseki for this. So it's similar to double knight approach joseki, but in this case, white is successfully takes the corner and takes the influence. So once again, I think this direction is good for white. So how can black change this kind of result? So black will take the 3-3. So originally we believe that blocking on this way is not acceptable for white because after this reject connect, the shape of black is actually very good. But however, we now know that white can play this honey. If black honey and white connect, white is very happy to have a very strong solid kind of influence. If black connect, white will play the tiger mouse. That's still acceptable locally for both players, but it's roughly the same to the attached kind of joseki. White can also play this tiger mouse. If black play this, white will Atari, and then white needs to play Kasumi because otherwise this pip is very severe. So you need to Kasumi, and I will push. So if you continue extend, I will push and then play the nice move. You can see that I naturally get a very nice wall outside, and your stone 4, 6, and 8 is facing a very solid kind of group down there. So in this case, the direction of black is not very favorable. Instead, black will play Tanuki, but however, after you Tanuki, it's very nice for white to have a very complete outside. So in this case, black is not very happy about this result. So what will happen? Black will play this, and then in this case we can see that black successfully have a very developable kind of influence on the bottom side. Of course, at the first glance that white seems to be bigger, and what if white develops? However, we know that this is sente, so which means that this descent is also sente. So actually black side has a lot to do on the left side. So for example, now black attach. If you extend, I can honey, and we know that this is a sente for me. So I'll put this in the future. So I reserve all the variations locally, and later on it may help me, because we cannot do this directly. So doing this directly may not be good because it's the end game. The end game issue is big. So we know that in the future we might do something like this. We might do something like this. So, but nonetheless, there are a lot of sabaki to do on the left hand side. So black can totally accept this result. Let's use a new one. So we talk about what will happen if we use double knight approach, and the last one is black direct jumps to the center. And this is actually a very thoughtful kind of strategy, because usually we know that to continue attack, white usually jump higher, for example at 4 or 5. So both are acceptable kind of ways to respond to this. However, because the bottom side is black stones, if you jump higher, later on, let's see, we have a very classic joseki here, and after black have this pincer, we can see that this kind of checking extension actually is supported by the bottom right corner. So it's not very comfortable for white to have this one space high jump. So white will instead try to have the knight move. But in this case, I will play this, for example, the new joseki of pincer, and then go to here. So it's kind of a fighting kind of style to play. We can also play this. If white chooses the old joseki, we know that this is actually very good, because this outside influence is actually supported by the two black stones on the right hand side. And although you can wedge and capture one single stone, there's still 3/3 invasion, and there's attach, and there's this kind of block. So the environment of this, surroundings of this kind of joseki is actually very good for black. So what will white do? So white will push and cut. So normally we know that this is actually a bad joseki, because we know that since the ladder doesn't work, if you try to capture me, this ladder actually works for black. However, white can simply just extend. But now, because this is a lower kind of knight move, black can easily jump out. It's unlikely that white can only push and cut when this is a jump. So in this case, actually white is not necessarily very good. So how do you respond to this? So AI tells us to jump one more. So if black still chooses this joseki, this pincer is less severe because we have more space in the corner. We can also push and cut. Now one can see that because with the use of this 2-space jump, we successfully kind of blocks black inside, and then now it is acceptable for white to play this variation, because now I can use this kind of wall to as supportive kind of stones to develop the bottom side. That is 3 kind of ways to respond to this one space lower pincer. And then of course there are other ways to pincer it, but it's roughly the same. So if you choose the, let's say, 2-space or 3-space high pincer, I may end up with either to have this double knight approach or high approach. That's all literally the same as the previous kind of opening, so I will not spend too much time on it. And the next way to respond to this, of course, is to defend. Let's start a new one. So to respond to this, of course, we can also defend. We know that now it's very easy for us to play this attached kind of joseki, but we can see a very obvious kind of dilemma locally. So we don't want to play this kind of move because it is not the very efficient kind of move. So it usually works when we want to settle in our opponent's territory, but in this case, because of the big komi, it's not comfortable for black to play this kind of peaceful moves. So after this, white can pick, attach and bend, and you still need to honey from down there. But if you play this kind of push, white or pip, and we know that this is a very classic AI joseki. The problem is that after that, when white captures this, we want this approach here to develop. However, the approach may not be yours, because after that, I can take this. We know that it's still too early for black to play this kind of connect, because after this connect, there's a lot of follow-ups and argy of these 2 dead white stones. For example, I may have a center here. So in the future, this fight is not necessarily good for me. But however, if you tanuki, I can simply wait. There is a actually there is a exchange here. So we can see that after white captures this cornerstones, this outside is actually floating. Although it's a very strong shape, but it's floating. So in this case, it's not necessarily good. So what can black do? So in order to prevent this from happening, black will play this nice move again. Play this approach first. If you play defend, now I can attach and push up happily. We can see that it's no longer possible for you to destroy the shape of black, and now I can attach again. So in this case, black is very happy to have a very comfortable shape in white's territory. Of course, white may choose other kind of variations. For example, this descent. If you play this tiger mouth, I would extend. So in this case, black will play this tiger mouth, and then black play this extension. We also see this a lot in ASH. White can also play this tiger mouth. If you play this, so the shape of white is slightly better. So instead, black will also play this tiger mouth, and then white will extend, and then black plays this big nice move. So in this case, it's also kind of, these are all AI variations, and there's no good or bad. It all depends on the choice of your style. Last thing, so when it is approached by the other corner, some players may want to pincer. So for example, if you pincer lowly, it may not be resulting in a very favorable kind of fight, because now we can see that the stone down there is actually supporting this joseki. I can also do this counter pincer. If you jump, I will jump. From my point of view, the shape of white is actually more heavier than black, because black can actually jump, and then later on this 3-3 invasion, it's very obvious. So if you want to pincer, you really want to pincer from the higher and in the center. So in this case, even if you have some jumping move, it's still hard for black to attack this. The problem is that now black can just turn to this counter kind of the double approach. So if you choose something like this attach, black may get this, and now you see that the pincer stone is somewhat lonely. So if you kick or extend, so this pincer move is not necessarily stronger than the two black stones down there. If you play the knight move, black is very happy to leave the corner. So it all depends on whether you are comfortable about this double approach. But usually, because as I always mention, you need to see the other corners. So because the bottom right corner is black star, you really still want to defend this, because this defense is easy, and then it's facing the development of black. So actually I'm having a very solid head towards black's influence. So in this case, it's very happy for me to defend again. So now of course, if you want to extend, that's fine. But if you want to have this attach, it's also fine. So in this case, when we see that by using this two approach, actually black destroys what white, destroys the connection between the two white star points. But in exchange, white will have two very solid heads towards black star points. In this case, both players will not have very strong influence and will not it's unlikely for them to have big boil on the board, and will usually ends up with a close fight or an endgame kind of game. So that's all for today's How to Master Your Openings. Thank you for watching. I'm Filippo. I'll see you in the next episode. So thank you. Bye.